Can I be honest? I'm really surprised this balance patch is now, because I think that they could have done this balance patch like 3 or 4 months ago. I actually think this balance patch would have been great for something like Capcom Cup. I understand that they were committed not to, but I wouldn't have been opposed to this. This does have quite a bit of balance changes in it. It's not a huge change, but they basically said this is the balance patch that's dropping before we do the big balance patch. My assumption, as I'm sure all of you probably assume too, is that when Akuma comes out and then season 2 is getting going, probably in like spring before the next CPT, that's all that. This is just their like temporary, like, all right, we're gonna put this out here, new character, new patch, etc. They're trying to improve characters that could not fully express their individual potential. So the big one they talk about is Ryu and Jamie. Improve techniques that were difficult to use, weaken elements that controlled an opponent's actions too severely. And I think if you look at the things that they changed, that makes a lot of sense. Important to remember that some of the changes may not seem that big. There's like quite a few characters that didn't get any changes. But important thing to note is that many of the strong characters got nerfs. So at worst, if your character didn't get touched, your character's probably better overall in this version because of that, right? Changes to everybody. Modern controls, they fixed the bug that would allow you to perform a special move using the SP button. Scaling would not be applied to the special move if its activation overlapped with screen darkening. So it's like something weird. There was a bug fix for damage. Mapping throws for modern and dynamic. Cool. Fix an issue where an attack with super armor properties like a drive impact is in the middle of hit stop due to absorbing an attack. An armor with armor break properties would not cause the armor to break. So it's another bug fix. A bunch of bug fixes make things feel better. Okay. Most of these probably will not impact you that much, but you know, maybe something like this will be useful for you. You guys really care about the next part, which is the balance patch. Lucas, crouching medium punch. 3 frames of recovery when the attack misses. So as you guys know, the right arm of Exodia, he's just swinging this crouching medium punch, right? Belligerently. It leads to a lot of damage. It's really fast. It's plus on block. It just whiffs too fast. So they added 3 frames of recovery to make it so that mashing crouching medium punch over and over is not as good and a little easier to whiff punish. I think more importantly, doing it back to back is harder. Like, I don't know that you're going to be whiff punishing this move all the time now, but I think it's far more likely that him doing it back to back will get stuffed more often. It's far more likely if he was whiffing it, you'll be able to jump in on him and he won't be able to DP you and stuff. Like situations like that, right? The size of the feet hurt boxes between frames 16 to 24 has been expanded, so a bigger hurt box. The size of the arm hurt box from frame 19 has been expanded. So making it slightly easier to tag this move later. Still a very good move. Air flash knuckle landing recovery from when this move is performed at the peak of its jump and misses has been expanded by 7 frames. He could jump and go, "Hey-ya," and like fly out of the corner with flash knuckle. They're making his ability to escape weaker. Change the trajectory from this move is performed at the peak of its jump and misses, also trying to make it weaker. And the size of the feet hurt boxes has been expanded from frame 16 until the end of the move. So if you see it whiff, you can punish it easier. You'll have extra time to like drive rush up and punish it, or like dash up or walk up or whatever. And the size of the body hurt box between frames 1 through 5 on Vulcan Blast, this is his level 1 super, has been expanded, making this slightly weaker because like it's invincible to strikes. So the hurt box being more forward doesn't matter for strikes, but for beating other projectiles, this was like the best super in the game for that, right? They're trying to weaken it as an anti-fireball tool. I think it was the best level 1 in the game, probably. All 3 of these good nerfs, right? They targeted the things about Luke that are a little bit too degenerate. His damage and other stuff is good. The biggest benefits of him as a character, and if you watch Capcom Cup, you saw it all weekend, right? He was too safe. He could safely hunker down, sandblast. You throw a fireball, he could just ba with his level 1, or he just goes with crouching medium punch over and over and over, right? I think they're fine with him being an all-rounder. He's just too safe. Like he doesn't have a lot of risk associated with just whiffing crouching medium or escaping with flash knuckle or whatever. He has a really powerful jump in still. His damage is still high. He has a lot of the qualities of the character that are still existing, but he will definitely feel more manageable to fight with these changes. Okay, Jamie, he's got some cool buffs. Back shaver, what a name. His front throw, he can cancel within a drink. He's plus enough in the corner, by the way, that after he does front throw and a drink, he can meaty you with standing medium kick. The transition from 3 to 4 is even faster than a regular drink. He's plus 12, so he can hit heavy kick. This is the kind of stuff that I think he needs. A lot of his pressure, it was very hard for him to consistently gain drinks while holding an advantageous position. So like he had to back throw you and get a drink, or he had to spend resources, or like whatever, right? Or like completely reset the neutral. So this is a really nice change for him. It also means characters without projectiles, Jamie will probably often do front throw drink and then sneak another drink. And if you're not doing something to chase him, he might be able to get away with it mid-screen more often too, right? His SA1 increased the damage slightly. Damage on the follow-up version is better. Pushback on hit is no longer applied when this move lands on the opponent in the corner. Will now down an opponent for 5 frames longer than before. This should go from he confirms in a level 1 super off of some hit, and then he was minus when he drinks, to being +4. +4 is very big for him because, like, obviously throw is a threat, but +4 means that, like, he can hit standing medium punch or something and trade with 4 frame moves. And then if the drink level has been raised prior to doing SA2, the drink level will return to that level. So he doesn't keep 4 drinks, but if you have a drink or 2 and then you pop level 2, then you keep it. Like level 2 was, I started the round and boom, you would just activate. Now level 2, you can use it for more reasons. His mid and end game significantly improved by this, I think, right? There will be long rounds Jamie fights where this might really matter. I think he'll probably want to use level 2 way more. And then overdrive tension, just bug fixes to make him feel better. I think Jamie got the best buffs, probably. I think most people think that, but they literally wrote up top that was their goal. Really nice. Ryu. EXDP changes the first hit effect from a knockback to a blowback. That probably matters. I'm not sure how. Solar plexus proximity block detection hitbox has been expanded. This makes it so that solar plexus is harder to walk away from and whiff. That happens a lot right now. Light Hashogeki, -4 to -3. They made it safe. You can use it to frame trap safely. You don't have to worry about being punished. And they say the knockback on block has been decreased. Knockback on block while on burnout has been increased. And the distance covered at the end of the active frames have been decreased. So you can always just do button Light Hashogeki B -3, play perfect parry mind games, or EXTP like a drug addict like all Ryu players do. Medium Hashogeki, better forward hitbox. Projectile clash has been expanded further, making the usability better. They did a lot of Hashogeki buffs. Heavy, this one is wild. Heavy Hashogeki is plus, and he is pulled up on you to do throw and mix up immediately, which is really nice. He gets mix ups right there. Distance covered between the end of the active frames and the end of recovery has been decreased. There you go. EX version, same kind of changes as before, and less pushback, same kind of deal. Particularly, this is really nice. Light Hashogeki, you probably saw some of the chip sequences with this. It's +1 on block in burnout, which means he has a better option to string you up with in burnout. You can just do button Hashogeki. Hadouken, the size of the hurt box around the arms has been reduced. Same thing with this. Huge. This means that characters really struggle to like EXDP through his Hadoukens way more. Very good. Nice changes to Ryu. Probably less important than Jamie, but pretty nice. This size of the arm hurt box has been expanded from Ken's start above his jab. And size of his arm hurt box between the later frames have been decreased to make it so that it's worse doing drive rush jab. That's my assumption. Stuffing the startup of it is easier. Also might mean that stringing people up with like 3 jabs is worse, maybe. His forward throw also gives you more distance. He can still throw loop you, but he has to walk up and do it. And then the same thing, this is kind of similar to the air knuckle change, right? Where landing recovery is longer by 7 frames from Air EX Tatsu. They're trying to make the escape option from Air EX Tatsu worse. This is probably a pretty relevant nerf. I think he got nerfed less than Luke, and he definitely got nerfed less than JP, which we'll get into in a little bit. So Ken are going to be in a really good spot still. I imagine that Ken will still feel quite good in this version. Some of the Zangief changes you guys probably saw at Capcom Cup. Overdrive double lariat. The second attack hits the opponent not in the air 1 frame earlier. The second attack knocks down the opponent for an additional 1 frame when they're not in the air. I think this is how weird juggles and stuff too. Adjusted the hit reaction of the first attack, so it's possible for SA3 to connect after, so you can combo EX Lariat into level 3. They helped hitting on it, and it also travels further. Zangief doing button Lariat works sometimes, like as long as you're close and stuff. But doing 2 hits in a Lariat from slightly further or 3 hits in a Lariat was like not a thing. You had to drive rush, and his drive rush confirm sucked ass. It did like no damage. Now it seems like doing 3 hits in the confirm EX Lariat is way more consistent, which puts him in more in line with other characters who can do confirm into EX move into drive rush pressure. They made the level 1 super have better reach, makes it more consistent. I saw Twitter clips of it being more consistent in a combo, which is cool. His level 2, they say expanded the collision push block upwards while the screen is dark. Yeah, there was like a weird things that would happen with that. But nice buffs to Zangief, little quality of life changes. Chun-Li, same change that Ken has. And then air 100 lightning kicks has the initial scale value of 20%. Not gonna lie, I think Chun-Li might be the best character in the game. The characters I thought were better than her got more nerfs, and she is really spooky probably in this version. Dee Jay, Funky Slicer. Knockback on block is decreased. Size of the hitbox after the active frames have been expanded. This is sway low. Easier to whip punish the low. Made it so that whenever you block it, you're almost always in throw range. You're like right next to him. You see him do like sway, and then he walks back and does crouching heavy punch after, and then like smokes you for 1,000,000 damage. Much harder for him to do that. That's like a harder thing for a DJ to represent. Good nerf for him. He will still be one of the best characters in the game. Because this is really the most abusable thing he does besides drive rush jab. Sim, teleport, fix an issue. You would get the wrong one. Heavy flame, fix an issue where if the attack landed as counter, punish counter, the second hit the attack would deal the same damage as normal hit. Bug fixes, not a big deal. This is modern control, lightning blast, bug fix, and then level 3 bug fix. These are both not really a big deal, but nice. Bug fixes are cool. Couple of changes for her that are cool. Adjustments to this move has greater inertia when formed out of drive rush. And then the big one, I think this one is really nice for her level 2. They made it so that it's more consistent. You guys have probably seen people fall out of her. If you ever watch Item, this is really annoying for her. They made it more consistent. So even when characters are really high up in the air, this is a more consistent juggle. I like this for her. Cool. JP, modern control. He can be performed with one of his projectiles on screen. Back plus special button for modern controls. Cool stuff. He gets new things in modern. Standing heavy punch. The size of the foot hurt box during the active frames has been expanded. The size of the hurt box for after the active frames has been expanded. Standing heavy punch is easier to whiff punish. It's worse on whiff. Currently, this move is really belligerent. He can swing this bad boy around. It's got good buffers. It's got safe buffers. They made it easier to whiff punish. Really nice change. Crouching heavy punch. Invincibility to midair attacks has been applied to the upper body, has been removed. He previously had one of the best grounded normal anti-airs in the game. They were like, yeah, we don't want you to have that much control. It will trade or lose more often than before. That is a big, big, big nerf. Normal and OD amnesia adjusted the immediate scaling value from 15% to 60%. Now has initial scaling value of 50%. Performing SA3 on a knockback opponent would now cause a projectile generated from catching an opponent's attack with this move to detonate quicker. After successfully catching an opponent's attack with this move, his gauge will now not increase until after the generated projectile is gone or until the current combo ends. The drive gauge increase for drive pairing or perfect pairing. The overdrive version of this move is more, so you get more drive gauge for pairing it. Amnesia got hit. I like the way they hit it personally. They kept the power of the move high, but nerfed the value you get off of it. So this is one of those things where like when you hit an amnesia, you now think about it like a perfect parry. My objective after this hit is to gain the corner or gain better screen positioning, correct? Like you no longer think, oh cool, I bombo someone for like a bunch of damage. I don't know if I like nerfing his anti-air that much. I'm a little on the fence about that change, but I think nerfing his amnesia and making him a little bit easier to whiff punish is cool. I'm fine with those changes. Normal overdrive departure. This is Portal. Now has an initial scaling value of 20%, so it scales more. And drive gauge from pairing or perfect pairing it has been increased. I think they hit JP really hard, actually. I think I'm kind of surprised. You may be wondering, like, okay, people have been saying this character is one of the best, if not the best character in the game for the whole game's lifespan. How come he doesn't win every tournament, right? And the reason is that he's hard. He's a hard character to play. Characters like Ken and Luke and Jury are easier to play under duress because they are like more straightforward. They're more straightforward characters with simpler game plans. So I'm really surprised they hit JP as hard as they did, even though he's quite good. I like all of these changes, I think, except this one. I like characters like having good anti-airs, and I'm cool with him having a good anti-air. That being said, I think he'll still end up being very strong. My thought is, even with all these changes, the character, as he was being optimized more and more and more, was getting better and better. I think he'll go from being like people think he's the best or second or third or something to more of like a top 5-ish to top 10 character. Rashid. Wall jumps. Fix an issue. Performing certain techniques after a wall jump would not put him into a forced knockdown state. His standing light punch, he got the same change that Chun and Ken had. Overdrive mixer. Third attack is now invincible to midair attacks to make it more consistent. EX mixer. Can I be honest? If they were going to buff his anti-air, I would prefer that his EX anti-air is always consistent. Heavy has a chance of losing. That way, if he wants always to have a consistent anti-air, he has to commit the bar. And then Yasar, fix an issue where the whirlwind when display is intended when lingering in its final stage. Other than that, very good. Rashid will be very strong in this version of the game, probably. Aki, they gave her some good buffs. For standing medium punch, has more active frames. Crouching light punch has more reach. My biggest, when I played the character, this is my most requested buff. The range is much better. There's already so many scenarios where it's much better. So many times she would do drive rush button and be +1 on block, and then she'd want to do jab jab after to like, you know, do a block string, and jab jab would whiff. She had to do one jab. That sucks. Like, who likes that, right? I played Ed, by the way, for like 10 minutes, and I already wish his standing jab had more range because that happens to him. I really want to, like, the character's lights to feel consistent. I think this is a really nice buff. Really happy that she got this. This is EX Snake Step, fixed an issue where the normal version will be reborn instead of the EX button when hitting back plus auto plus SP. Whoa, they could do that. Weird bug fix. Okay, overall winners and losers. The biggest losers are Ken, Luke, and JP. Small loss for Dee Jay and Chun-Li, which makes me think that Chun-Li and Rashid and Dee Jay will be really strong in this version of the game. I think those 3 characters not getting nerfed means good things for them. And I think Ryu and Jamie will feel much better. I think this character is going to end up being a demon very quickly. And Ryu, I really liked playing Ryu in this game. My expectation is that I will play some secondary Ryu for fun way more now. I think JP, Luke, and Ken will all be good still. And Jury will feel better too. Yeah, all the characters that were like slightly weaker than JP, Luke, and Ken will feel much better. I think Guile will feel really good in this version of the game. JP, Ken, and Luke nerfs are really good for Guile in this version of the game. He probably feels great. We're probably getting Lily buffs next patch, right? I mean, you did get Lily buffs. The Lily buffs are Luke's crouching medium punch, 3 frames of recovery added when the attack misses. Aerial flash knuckle. Let me look at the other Lily buff. The other Lily buff is her worst matchup in the game. Standing heavy punch. The size of the foot her box has been increased, right? Crouching heavy punch, worse anti-air. The Lily buffs are that the best characters in the game got weaker. And also, this patch is a small patch before the big patch. And their focus for this patch is to improve particularly Jamie and Ryu. These are the characters they targeted for this little patch.